So the first item on the agenda is the purchase of the, I guess, dissolved oxygen sensor.
Right. Mike, you and Sally and Dave were going to do a little research about that. I remember you sent out one note with 2 items there. 2 different possibilities. Can you speak to
Yeah,
that?
I think I would recommend the YSI unit rather than the Milwaukee Scientific one. I think the YSI one comes with a longer cable. And that brand is, I think, better known than the Milwaukee brand.
Oh, yes. They've been in business for, I'm saying, 60 or 75 years. They started making thermocouples to fit into spacesuits at the beginning of the astronaut projects.
Really?
It's the former Yellow Springs Instrument Company.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And since I went to, yeah.
I attended Antioch for a little while.
You did?
Yep.
Me too.
Whoa.
Yeah. When were you there?
I started in 73 and lasted 2 years.
Okay.
And then
Well,
I spent probably another 3 or 4 years in Yellow Springs as a wannabe townie.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to trade stories.
Yeah.
I was there from 61 to 65 and I lasted it. And my wife worked at YSI for a period of time there. So she trudged down Route 68 to go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
All right. So are there any reviews of the YSI instrument, Mike?
There probably are, but I haven't seen any. I haven't looked for any.
Well, I'm comfortable with making that decision. Bill?
Yep. I move that we authorize Mike to purchase the YSI DO2 sensor.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Good. Okay.
The next item is the relevance of the lakes, ponds, and now streams, or soon to be streams, and committee in the 47 Main Street building project.
Right. So I was approached by neighbors who were mounting opposition to it to see if Lakes Ponds could put in a word about it, how it might impact things. This was probably this summer, and I sent it out to you all for thoughts. And the late Ed Bergman had some thoughts about stream flow through there that was much of the season underground, but still moving water there. Sally also had some concerns. I had a few, but since we didn't have a chance to have a meeting before the zoning board meeting, I sent off our separate comments, making it very clear that this was not a official position of Lakes Ponds. And then that whole snafu around the December meeting was trying to get us to have a meeting before the ZBA. Of course, we don't need to go into that. So then I asked Mike about that because he has the view from the Concom, and I don't know, Bill, how much you know about the involvement of the Conservation Commission with regard to this project. So that's as much as I know about Lakes Ponds. Oh, one other thing, I did contact the owners with Bill's suggestion, very well suggested that before I go traipsing on their private property, I asked their permission. And I left them a voicemail and they called me to tell me that they weren't comfortable with that Lakes and Ponds would have nothing to do with that because all the water problems were all just standing water. And they did not give me permission to go on their property. And I drove around it, but you can't see much. So that's
yeah. So I attended the last zoning board hearing, and the idea of a I guess, hydrogeologic, is that the right term? Basically, a study of the water underground came up, and from the Zoning Board of Appeals perspective, and I think partially, or at least, or maybe exclusively, with the input of a lawyer that's working with some, had determined there is, since we don't routinely require applicants for building permits and special permits and so on to do that kind of study, there is no way that they could require the applicant in this case to do one. Did mention that we could certainly ask the applicant to do one. And the applicant during the meeting said, I'll answer that question. I'm not doing one. He said he's been building in this area for 30 years, 28 years, whatever it was, and has never been asked to do that kind of study before. Most of the discussion otherwise was about surface water and stormwater controls.
Well, that would be our concern also, in as much as it runs off into the ponds.
And so there's a whole bunch of stormwater standards they have to adhere to, and the bottom line is, I think ultimately they will. Now, whether or not those are sufficient, that would probably be a more matter of whether or not we thought our stormwater bylaw or the state stormwater laws needed changing. I don't think there's any way we can change for this particular project the standards that they're using. Though the engineer for the applicant did mention that he used a higher standard in terms of potential rainfall for the design of the water management system within the property.
Okay. I did get the detailed application from Mike from the town, so I have that whole document. I confess that I don't have the technical expertise to understand most of the descriptions of the water management, but there are a lot of words around it. Yeah.
So yeah, the town, the Zoning Board of Appeals has hired a company by the name of Stantec to do peer review. And actually the bulk of the presentation at the last meeting was, or a lot of it was from the Stantec and their review of the stormwater plan that the applicant had put forward.
Okay. When is the next CBA meeting?
I believe it's probably this, probably third Wednesday, maybe in January.
Okay.
The ZBA has 6 months to issue the comprehensive special permit, and if they don't finish their work in that 6 months, it's deemed approved. So they're moving ahead. I think, can't remember if they were going to talk. One of the concerns that hasn't been dealt with is traffic on Fisk Ave. And I can't remember if they decided they'd let that slide until February because they would do the traffic studies later in January. But there's very little the town can do at this point to prevent the project from going forward.
Okay. I think that's Dave Connors who just phoned in. Is that you, Dave?
Yes, it is.
Hello. We're just discussing the 47 Main Street project. Whoops, he was there a minute ago. Okay. So Mike, from the perspective of the Conservation Commission, just so we can be more fully informed, what's your thoughts about this project, or what's the commission's thoughts about the project?
Well, eventually they will file a notice of intent, basically get a permit application for the project. And the commission will review that, probably go through a lot of the same details or concerns about stormwater that the ZBA is going through their review. And then issue a notice of intent or an approval or decline to approve. You know, I really kind of don't want to really comment on any technical details here, or
Mhm.
or make you know, make any statement for or against the project, just because I will be reviewing it as a Conservation Commission member. I don't want,
Yeah.
down the road, I don't want the applicant, for example, to say that, you know, I had a bias before
Right.
the actual hearing was held.
Understandable, since
So,
this is an official meeting and it is being recorded and transcribed. Okay, thank you for that. Ah, here's Dave. Hi,
Good evening, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Do we have anything more to share about our participation or the relevance of our assessments or review for the 47 Main Street project? Hearing none, I suggest that we move on to the next item on the agenda.
Which is the next actions to affect phase 2 of the Pratt Mill Pond survey.
Okay. So the last draft that I have is dated September 19th, 2023. We've advanced beyond that, Mike?
we have. I sent a revised draft out this morning. I'm not sure, Bill, you know, did you, I sent it to the Lakes and Ponds
Yeah.
group. Basically what I did make some edits to, like, some substantive edits, but mostly what I did was include kind of an introduction that the town manager wrote for phase 1, changed a few things around there, and then also included a draft engineering contract that the town manager included for phase 1. So it's kind of, I think it's close to being complete based on what the phase 1 request for quotation looked like. But I think everyone still needs to go through the substantive details, technical details. And I was just wondering, Gary, you know, if we should wait until the 3 new members are actually appointed. I don't believe they've been appointed yet. Is that
I hope that that will happen soon, but I don't know at what rate the select board moves on such things. It seemed to be fairly straight, but I'll call Denise tomorrow and ask her. But since Mass General Brigham in its wisdom disconnected me from email yesterday, and I didn't get mine going until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I don't think anybody else has had a chance to read it. Bill, did you see it?
I saw that it came in. I haven't had a chance to read it now.
Okay, so I think we were going to punt this till the next meeting. Any
Okay, that
objections
sounds
to that?
good.
I don't think we have. And Dave and Charles and Laurie, who's not here, I will make sure that you get copies of those. Since I think I've asked the town folks to change the group mail to include you on it, to CC you on it for everything that officially goes to Lakes Ponds. But there seemed to be some bureaucratic concern about doing that if you hadn't actually been added formally to the committee. So I will include you in all communications. And hopefully
Gary, I suggest the committee or you ask the town manager to put this issue on the agenda at the next selectmen's meeting.
Is that Joe Layden?
Joe Layden, yeah.
Yeah, their next meeting is 2 weeks from yesterday.
So ideally, that would allow us to have a full complement for the February meeting.
It's 2 weeks from yesterday. I thought it was. Well, this is our January meeting.
They meet on the first and second Tuesdays.
first and third Tuesdays?
First and
Oh,
third,
okay.
excuse me. The selectmen, the select board, excuse me,
The
select
select
board.
board meeting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they met last night and they'll be meeting 2 weeks from yesterday.
I would ask the town manager to put it on the agenda, and if you don't see it on the draft agenda, to remind him, you know, just to make sure that it gets on.
And Bill, just remind me that date.
Second, 16th.
Right, that makes
The,
sense.
the agenda is usually published like the Thursday or Friday before that Tuesday.
Okey doke. That's my note. Good. And our regular meetings will be on Mondays. So I think maybe it's February 1st, February 4th, whatever it is. It was on the note that I sent to you all.
Yep.
And somewhere it's in my schedule.
I'm looking at it right now, February 5th.
That sounds familiar. Okay, thanks, Dave. Nothing more to be done then on that item, unless someone has something to add.
Not to that item. I did have a question.
Please.
The town, the sewer plant had a sanitary sewer overflow starting on the Monday that we had the almost 5 inches. And we had posted several announcements to that effect on the town website. And I was wondering if anybody from the committee had seen those.
Yes.
My wife's got a notice about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but I didn't, oddly.
Yeah, so your wife must have signed up for the town announcements. And so,
Probably.
yeah, so as long as somebody in the household is signed up for those, you'll get the announcements. They happen. It's an extremely rare event, and I mean, it was just an overwhelming amount of water in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Did it flow into Centerbrook?
Their outflow is behind the plant, so it's for the DEP purposes. It's referred to as an unnamed tributary of the West River. I think we think of it as Zach Pond. I mean, that's where the outflow is.
Yeah, the outflow is just a little bit downstream of Zach, and it is the West River. It's definitely the West River.
Okay, so the DEP refers to it as an unnamed tributary, but whatever.
Well, no, but the outflow from the treatment plant flows into an unnamed tributary, which flows into the West River.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but and Centerbrook is downstream of Centerbrook confluence is downstream of all this activity.
Is that something that we should attend to monitoring to see what consequences there are come the spring?
Well, it's certainly something that we should be aware of, and to the extent that there's things we can do to prevent it from happening, or things we can promote, yes, I think. But like I said, I've been working for the DP number of 3 years. I think this is the first time it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when the state recently, like within the last 2 years, enacted a law which requires departments of public work to notify the public when there are overflow events. So, and there's a whole scheme of messages and times and so on that need to go out. So I think we did a pretty good job of managing and responding to our requirements, but we weren't the only people in the state to have a problem. Now, in our case, it was partially treated sewage. It bypasses filter bed, a sand filter bed, but otherwise goes through the plant. There are some towns elsewhere that were releasing raw sewage.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have that.
Yes,
Okay.
and my understanding, and I can find out more about this, is that our DPW will be doing some enhanced testing. Now, I don't understand exactly what that means at this point, but I'll look into that.
Would you make a note of that for us to mention at our next meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
You know, just one thing about that storm. I took a little, some look at the hydrology. This is, you know, unofficial, not from USGS, but it was probably a 5 to 10 year event. The second storm.
Mike, there's a scratching or a barking sound or something like that, which I think is coming from your end.
Oh, sorry about that, but it's for once my dogs are not barking, so it's not me, believe it or not. But anyway, I don't know, do you hear what I said? It's just, it was a 5 to 10 year event. So
Well, I wonder if that frequency will increase given climate change.
yeah, it's definitely possible.
Well, I can tell you that it did stuff to our driveway, which we've never experienced. And there are several washouts in town, which is, you know, highly unusual. So
Actually, but I have you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. What happened? Did anything happen at Taft Mill Dam?
I don't know if anything happened to Taft Mill. I believe it overflowed.
It overflowed through the over the road.
Yep.
Yeah, I have some pictures of that some years ago when that happened, and that is a scary situation when, to me anyway, when water is flowing over the top of a dam like that, instead of going through the normal outlet channel. And there's people downstream. I think, was it called Brooks? No,
Brookside.
Brookside, who probably caught some of that water that could flow right over South Street, right into their driveway, basically, I would guess.
Right.
That's what I saw last time.
Yep.
Years
Driveway,
ago.
lawn. Yep.
Yeah.
But that didn't affect our water source. There's no Board of Health action about that, is there?
No, I don't believe so. But
Okay.
well,
let us
you know, the takeaway is I think you know, I would consider Taft Mill Dam to be a problem dam in town.
Okay.
You know, it's that shouldn't happen. You know, the water shouldn't like flow right over the road like it does.
Well, let's consider that when we talk about what consequences there might be of this, long-term consequences, both with respect to man-made structures as well as the tributaries themselves and the ponds that are affected by the overflow. I want to mention one thing out of order, because if I don't, I'll forget it. And that's that, Mike, you had sent out minutes from the previous meeting. And maybe you just sent them to me. I don't think so. I think they went to everybody. Bill, you got them also, right?
Yeah, I have was that yesterday? I think I sent out a whole packet of
okay.
minutes, most of which I think have been sent out before.
I had made some additions and edits on it, and I wondered whether they had gotten back to the committee. And I guess that was yesterday.
I haven't seen them.
You didn't see what I sent you?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, well, it was probably a month ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, those edits I did see, and I need to go back and revise those minutes. I did see those edits, Gary, yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right, back into order.
Well, that's it for the agenda.
Okay.
So for minutes, should we just pass over approving them until next meeting?
Yes, they're not actually on the agenda, so
Yeah.
we should include them on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, should include them on every meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Did I not include the revised mission statement?
Nope,
Oh, okay. Have people seen the revised mission statement?
Yep.
Okay. Mike? It's the revision is merely to add streams with perhaps a one sentence justification.
I mean, that looked fine to me.
Okay.
You know, the only
I-
suggestion I might have is streams and watersheds, something, you know, or pond watersheds or something like that. Put the word watershed into the,
well, I already sent it to the select board
that's no
for
problem,
them to approve, so
no problem,
the watersheds will have to drain off on that one.
no problem.
And let's see, was there one other item I sent to them? No, only the request for membership. So I'll get a hold of Joe Layden tomorrow and ask him to put that on the agenda.
Just go here right now.
Okay. And I also sent something to all members and pro members about whether we should take a lead in trying to do some education about the effects of climate change locally and globally, whether that should be one of our actions, one of our roles as a committee. I don't know whether people saw that note or not.
Nope.
Nope.
Yes, I remember seeing that, Gary. I don't know about globally. Since we're, a small town, I
Yeah.
think our efforts would be better served, more locally. Think
Oh, yeah.
globally, act locally.
Yeah, I think that was the intention, but a recognition that it was a global problem, but we should act locally. Okay, so Dave, you saw that and others didn't. Or maybe it just wasn't memorable. I can take that. Okay. Something to keep in the back of our minds for next year, because if we don't have enough to do. Okay, so next meeting, we're going to talk about the currently revised phase 2, and then how to activate the items listed in there. And I think that's the only item that's carrying forward.
Gary, there's a couple things that weren't on the agenda, but we should probably think about. And
Yep.
one is
Go
the
ahead.
annual report.
Oh, yes.
Sometime very soon, Sandra's going to start harassing you for the annual report.
He already did. It was due January 10th.
Yeah, and that's something that the whole committee should probably approve that if possible.
Yes,
And the
but
other thing that's going to be due soon is if we want a budget line in the 225 town budget. If we want to request, I don't know how much, $1,000, $5,000, something like that, as a line item in the budget that is approved at town meeting in May. And that submission is due really soon too, Bill. I don't know exactly what day it's due, but Conservation's already working on theirs.
do you know when that's due, Bill?
Well, actually, I think the due date was December 22nd, but I think there are others who have missed that due date.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of those things which is as soon as possible.
Okay.
So Joe manages the budget process. So when you talk to him about getting on the agenda,
Yeah.
ask him if we can put a something in for the committee.
Yeah, just so we're covered, I would make a motion that, that Gary be authorized to submit a $3,000 line item in the 225 budget for the Lakes and Ponds Committee.
I'll
And
second
to be
that.
used, that's the motion. And I'll
Okay.
discuss it in a second. So the
Here's
discussion
the-
would be, it would be used, for analytical services, educational materials, training, things like that.
I'll send a draft out tomorrow. I think I can get that done by tomorrow. Okay, motion on the floor. Call the vote, Bill?
It's been moved and seconded, right? I
Yes.
moved it, Mike seconded it, so,
Mike?
Second,
Yeah, I need an aye or a nay.
aye.
aye, aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay. We're done. Anything else that wasn't on the agenda? Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second,
Second.
good. Okay. All in
Aye.
favor, say aye, aye,
Aye.
And
Aye.
a most efficient meeting. Thank you all very much.